Hey guys, it's February 9th, 2021. Market's closed, so we'll take a look at Nano Dimension. What happened today? So, Nano Dimension kind of fell after hours yesterday, but held pretty well on the support line here at roughly 1582. It tried to push up, and the good thing about this movement, guys, when you're looking at this, is that even though it was a major push down, what that allowed is the takeout of these sellers here in this area, right, in this region. So when the time came for it to go for another run up, um, it was able to do so, right? So this precursor right here, what allowed this to happen? This was a phenomenal movement. I mean, that's roughly almost a whole dollar movement, maybe even more. Let's see. Yeah, so it went past a dollar. So that was a fantastic move. I was actually lucky enough to be able to play that, watching this thing as it formed. My entry was there. So a lot of things happened there. I think there's definitely some movement by big institutions. We'll get into that in a minute, but just finishing the chart analysis, there was a big sell-off, and the thing about this item is that what I took notice of as it was unfolding, you can look at this and see that it was not a bullish run in my point of view. It was like a large institution taking an institution taking a large position and having it executed because there was no real follow on to this. And there was individuals who were in it took their percentage, but I noticed that it didn't really go as far down as 50% as needed to in the beginning. It took a while for it to go down, and then it came back up like here again. So um, that 50% thing is still was a good play, but you can see that there's just a lot of failure to follow. So tomorrow we're looking at the larger time frame. That's a pretty strong move right there. How the last hour finished, because it definitely got pushed down, but the strength in here pushed it back up. So I'm looking for tomorrow to continue that trend and hopefully come back up here and retest these highs. Um, I imagine that more likely because it's such a big move that it may bounce back down or it may bounce a little higher and then stay here. This being a golden color to me notes that this is probably going to be a pretty strong resistance. So my guess would be, you know, that it would go down this way. But just watch for it as opening bell because that could be it could decide to continue running. On a daily basis, we're looking pretty bullish still. Um, it's a very large candle with a big body, not too much wick at the top. So I think we're still going to be moving forward. We're not at our all-time highs, but I would expect because it's near the top, like I was saying, there are probably a lot of bag holders up there looking to get out. The funny part is that if they do, most of them are thinking just to get out, they're going to miss the actual run that is poised behind this movement, right? So that's kind of the irony behind of what I've seen and done so in myself when I first started trading. Okay, so done with the chart. We're gonna look at the news. There was quite a bit of news today on them. Mainly, it was the CEO released a letter to shareholders. And in this letter, he outlined a couple things. Let's see if we can get one that has a lot more detail in it. So, all right, so this one. Let's go ahead and make this bigger. All right, so the the letter to the shareholders basically is, indicating that they did 3.4 million for the entire year of 2020. 990 million of that is in cash reserves, and this is a major one. No debt as of January 31st. This sentence has so much information in it. So we'll take a look at that a little more in detail. So the thought of the 3.4 million, the consensus estimate was actually they thought it would be near zero, right? So that's going to be pretty big for them. Also, all the direct offerings that they've had, they've raised 990 million. So basically, they have 990 million just sitting, wait, and as they did those offerings, they indicate the Yoav Stern indicated that that money is to protect the business model to where they're looking to acquire one or more companies that may be a threat to their industry or that's synergistic to what they're doing. They're increasing their budgets for the R&D of their new LDM system to not be just more of a prototype, but the ability to to be able to mass produce their products, right? The circuit boards that they're designing. So not only become a prototyping vessel, but it'll be a vessel um, that can actually do production level quantities. So that's a big step for them. Um, and the no debt, to me, and I'm not a financial analyst and everything like that. Because so this is my own interpretation, and I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. The no debt is almost like a unicorn kind of move. That shows how well this company has been managed over the years. That they can come into their the development of their one and only they're the only ones playing in the sector of the 3D printing, that has multi-layer capabilities, right? So they're the only ones that are really in this space. Um, to be able to come up with something so revolutionary and so disruptive and have no debt at the end of that, that is amazing. I mean, that is just amazing. So to me, I know Yal Stern is. I believe he's the newer CEO, because I believe the company is intelligent enough to know that one CEO is great for this phase in the life cycle of a company, and a different style is required for a different phase. So now they're moving into product development to full scale production, right? So that is important. And then also they say as of January 31st. So there might, and I would interpret that as we are going to incur debt because we are buying a company. That's the way I look at that. So I think them mentioning that specifically January 31st says a lot, that this statement is valid from January 31st, but it's going to change. Okay, so that's my take on that. So there's a lot more going on. So let's see what has here. You got to remember also another news that they have hired a AI expert, to um, to spearhead their development and research and development into neural networks to make their systems a lot better. Okay. So during the debt capital raising 1 billion, that's the result of that is that 990 million. And so let's see what else. So they've been really hampered by the COVID-19. That really has put a halt to a lot of the ordering because their customers were, the travel, the restricted travel, and those kind of things prohibited their sales and people actually being able to use their machines. Not only did they have these Dragonfly machines, but they also sell services, right? Like because they're in the printing industry, so they're gonna be running the company like a printing company where they also will provide the materials, the materials the board is made out of, and the metal. I mean, I believe it's nickel or silver. It's one of the two. I think it's silver that is used to create the trace lines in the circuit boards. So that is going to be something that's a recurring revenue for them, um, providing these materials to all these LDM, Dragonfly LDM users. So that's a very good item. So here's into our next generation system. So the I believe they've sold like a total of maybe 60 machines. Each one of them were costing in the range of like I believe 250 to 400,000, depending upon what kind of uh, items that are configured for it. So they're saying here that approximately 70% of them have upgraded those machines to their newest LDM version. Um, so the LDM version, what makes it different from the previous version is that it is a machine that is now capable of running 24/7, so no maintenance time. Where the other machine required maintenance downtime, this current Dragonfly LDM does not require maintenance. So if you look at that progression, now the next version is speeding up creation to where it can mass produce in quantities the product that's being printed. So there is a logical progression there. So this is the items here I was talking about, like selling the materials, the consumables for the product, and then this is also they offer services that for people who do not have the capital to purchase the Dragonfly, they can actually just send their information to Nano Dimension, and Nano Dimension will print it for them, prototyping the item. So that's what this statement here is. So that's great because now that will offer a faster service for them, for the end customer, because they won't have to go through the traditional channels of the subtractive manufacturing processes, and they're doing the additive here, which is faster. So they can probably send it to Nano Dimension, and then um, Nano Dimension will take a couple hours to a day or so, depending upon the complexity of what needs to be printed, and send it back. So that decreases their timing, prototyping, and that recurring process until they nail out all the bugs and design flaws and able to settle on a design that is for mass production. So that will have all those items will have recurring revenue. So here is the where the latest sale, I believe, that occurred either in October or November for the Pacific Islands, the APAC region of the Academy of Engineering Physics. So let's see what else. His experience building a slingshot. Okay, so this statement is very important. He's basically saying once we get out of this COVID phase, or it lets up a little bit, they believe that their sales are going to skyrocket, because that's really the inhibitor that's been behind this whole thing. I guess they've had a lot of, my guess is they've had a lot of communications with potential customers and existing customers of systems that they're gonna want to have, but we're not performing the purchases because they're, you know, travel and everything is restricted to where they were not able to either ship, or the customers are not able to actually even physically use the machines. Okay, so but once this these limitations start to dwindle or be removed, they're indicating they're forecasting a massive um, sales and just a spike in business. Okay, so they have the 2020 milestones that they've done. So there's a lot of items in here. Next big thing that I'd like, well, I guess we can finish this. So this, they're basically indicating that, you know, they're looking for several companies to acquire. They've hired different agencies, one representing the regional of the Americas and the other Europe, right? So they've tapped into several of these other companies to perform those acquisitions for them, and you know, just be a part of that whole process. So they've looked at probably 80, you know, about 80 potential companies. So my guess would be once they some of those things that it's a some that is a company that they want to acquire, um, they the stock should spike a little bit, right? And because of that kind of movement. And I believe they indicated that the type of companies that they were going to purchase are private institutions. So typically, when another company buys another company, and if that company B is publicly traded, company B usually gets the spike, not company A, who's doing the purchase. But considering now that company A, Nano Dimension, is purchasing company B, who is a privately held organization, institution, Nano will be the one who gets the spike. And then I guess what I would think is that once that acquisition is done, then there may be a little bit of a drop, right? So I would keep that on a back burner. You know, when those news do occur. Um, One other item I'd like to point out that has also caught my attention is that they issued I guess there may be two more. They issued this notice here indicating that they withdrew the one registration that indicated that they were going to do um, how they're going to do an offering. So they pulled that back and submitting one indicating that we want to be able to do an offering anytime. So I think that movement alone indicates a more of a possibility that the stock split vote that's supposed to occur on the 15th, I believe. Yep, on the 15th, which is Martin Luther King Day, which is also the markets are closed. Uh, I believe that if that is more likely going to happen because of this movement here. So the stock split would be voted to yes. I would imagine that there is going to be quite a bit of a drop in in the stock. So for those, if I was me, I have a current position in Nano. I will be pulling out my position by close of business Friday, because of that. I believe that will be a great opportunity to buy the dip. That is my take. Again, you know, this is just my opinion, and that's how I'm going to be playing it. The other item that is rather important also is the Kathy Woods company ARC sold more shares today. So here we can look at what they did. Let's see if we can make this bigger. I'm not used to usually working in this resolution, guys, so I apologize. So we'll bring it down here. Just do this. Like for some reason, does not want to move anymore. So if we look at ARC here today, so this is today's newsletter from them, right? So on the 9th, we look down here under the ARC-Q and NNDM. They sold more shares today. And if we scroll over, they sold 485,000 shares. So that's been quite a bit because I believe last time we tallied this up, it was 611,000 shares. Now there's another 485,000 shares. So that's almost 11,000 shares. I wouldn't be surprised if it is 11,000 with this 600 in the back. So my guess is that they're expecting that the share split will occur and that this will give them an opportunity to buy in and dip. So I believe that once that dip goes, and I would be looking for a reversal, and then that reversal will be significantly fast going back up. Especially if ARC is going, the thought would be that ARC is going to go back into the stock after the dip has occurred. So that gives them a lot of leverage to pull out their current investment, reap the benefits of the gain from behind it, and then be able to buy it lower with a larger amount of capital. So they actually will be increasing their position on it. So those are my thoughts. That's how I'm gonna play it, and I imagine that might be the catalyst that drives this weekly, or that's weekly RSI down, because the weekly RSI it's still way up there. So my guess that might be next week, right? So we'll see how that goes. So I imagine that we'll probably by the end of this week, we'll probably bounce from that 200 or maybe bump up a little bit and then get thrown down all the way to possibly the EMA 9, or I'm not EMA 9, the MA 9, or even the MA 21. So again, that's just my thoughts. Remember, I believe the 15th, which is next Monday, the market is closed for observance of, I believe, is it President's Day? So, you don't, whatever you have to do will have to be done on Friday. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, other than that, Nano has been kind of trading sideways lately for the last couple hours. Well, maybe last 8 hours, 7 hours. So, hopefully we'll see this thing come back up, hit on the upside tomorrow, and then, or we might end up just traveling sideways. But according to this and this push up, I'm looking for an upside. All right, guys, happy trading and good luck.